Hello, Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Let's see. Well, today is Monday, January 27th, 2014 at 9:51 a.m. Pacific time. And you're currently at EPD Laboratories. I'm up here in Spokane, Washington. And recently you had left the lab and went to the home of the director of EPD Labs, Steve, and you had a chance to get on the internet and actually see the campaign for the first time for the advanced seismic warning system. And so it's pretty exciting that in the first 10 days, already half the money for the $10,000 bond is already raised.
Yeah, that's quite encouraging.
And just checked today, and right now it's at $4,875. And for anybody listening to this that's not aware of it, in Indiegogo, there's a campaign called Eric Dollard's Advanced Seismic Warning System. And this is a campaign to raise money for a $10,000 bond. This project has already been approved to be placed on government land, and this $10,000 bond is required. Now, if you go to the Indiegogo site, it does say $25,000 goal, but that includes $10,000 for the bond and $15,000 for equipment. But priority is just that $10,000 has to be secured. Otherwise, if that bond money is not raised, then the project can be permanently denied. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the complication.
And so, already, a lot of time and effort, connections have been made, thousands of dollars in application fees have already been put into place. And so it's only going to take another $5,000 in donations to be able to get this $10,000 for the bond. Then it's locked in, and then you and some of your associates are going to be able to start the actual work on this FLARIC project here in just a couple months when it warms up, right?
Right. We're hoping to get started in April.
So what's kind of the sequence of what are some of the first steps as far as actually working on the project that you have to go through? Like, you have to
Well, there's two things. The first thing is the existing line that we're going to build on is got broken poles and cables are hanging at dangerously low levels that people could catch their necks on motorcycles, and so we have to clean all that up, get rid of the mess, make sure all the existing lines that we'll probably reutilize are secured, and then the ones that we're not going to reutilize it, we're going to put other lines up in their place. We have to take that down. That's going to require installing some new poles. We have to put in more guy anchors because the cable is going to be sectionalized. So the first step basically is to bring the thing back up to the proper, with what we have there, the proper safety standards. The other phase is we're taking down another line on the other side of this vast government property area that we're working in, out more towards the Mojave end, and we have to remove about 2 or 3 miles of abandoned open wire carrier line that we're going to use to rebuild the system with here. So we have to basically about 40 poles. We have to take the cross arms off and the insulators and all that, and roll the miles of wire up and the whole thing, transport the cross arms, insulators, wires, bolts, and all that here, and then stage the stuff, and then get ready for the second work episode towards the end of summer, when we put all that stuff up on the poles, and then we're hoping in a third work episode starting April of next year, the antenna, so-called antenna, the antenna transmission system in general will be finished.
So in Indiegogo, there's still some more video clips and pictures that we'll be posting. When I was down there at your lab, just a few weeks back, I interviewed you about the seismic advanced seismic warning system. And so right now in Indiegogo, if anybody listening right now goes there, there's some video clips of some of that interview, and pretty soon I'll post the full length uncut interview where Eric goes into the details on the advanced seismic warning system. He also explains what the chart is on the wall, where he hand plotted a whole year of data from multiple different data sources to kind of correlate them together to show the kind of activity that builds up before the earthquake. And I also have some pictures from several months ago when we went up on the hill where those poles are. And what are there? Something like 55 poles that are already erected in the ground?
Yeah, we have a total of 55 poles for the section on federal property, and then there's no poles on the section that's on city property, and we'll have to put approximately 25 or 30 more poles up.
Uh-huh.
So that's going to, so we're going to have to find that. But right now, the main thing is to get the system that's on federal land secured. The university is transferring over some of their obsoleted seismic pickup equipment in one of the mines that's adjacent to our structure, and allowing us to utilize that for the behalf of the city here. And then the $15,000 over the $10,000 is for getting all the chart recorders, the racks to put them in, whatever it's going to cost to get the poles that we don't have up yet, and all of that together.
So being able to have access to all these cross arms and insulators and all this wire and other stuff is saving literally, tens of thousands, if not maybe a couple $100,000 worth of equipment?
The cross arms, the only cross arms you can get now are power cross arms. But they're not cheap. They tend to be a little heavier. As far as the carrier telephone insulators and the copper-clad steel wire for the transmission conductors, the insulator pins, none of that stuff's available. The bolts, the cross-arm braces, like the cross-arms, can be bought from a utility supply company, but yes, that would be, even if the insulators and all this stuff were available, the price, I couldn't even begin to imagine. It'd be another $10,000 or $15,000 right there. Because the main transmission structure is going to use 8 miles of wire. Now, if you have to make that with solid copper wire, which is not desirable in this case, but that was all that's available, needless to say, that would be very expensive for 10-gauge wire. The copper weld wire is all abandoned, laying miles and miles and miles of old telegraph lines and whatever are all strewn out over in the desert. Nobody takes that stuff because it has no scrap value, so we're performing the dual process of cleaning up the mess on federal land and recycling and reutilizing this stuff to actually reconfigure it into a working system, which is also a historical reconstruction of the original lines themselves, none of which exist in this country anymore.
Now with these poles, on the land erected, like these 55 poles, and there's a few of them that you have to replace and that kind of thing. That if none of that was done and you had to do everything from scratch, this would probably take a few years probably just to do the project. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, it really wouldn't be feasible. I couldn't do it, basically, with my Toyota Corolla and my Social Security money is basically how I operate. And then, a somewhat minor amount of money comes in the mail that tends to match the Social Security, which, then I can pay other people to, or at least pay for their expenses to help me. So right now it's myself and Justin do all this ourselves. But if we had to dig all those holes, find all those poles, and put all those poles up, in their present state of affairs, it would be totally unfeasible.
Right. And for those of you who don't know,
the other benefit here is there's a lot of Bell Telephone people that that want to see this go together. So we have that level of support. So many different levels of support here that it's truly an amazing circumstance that's come about.
Yeah, I've seen it kind of come together, and it's like the synchronicities are just kind of coming together. Like there's something that wants this project to happen.
Yeah, there's a real strong voodoo behind it.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, when Eric mentions Justin, he's actually the secretary of EPD Labs.
He's highly skilled in construction and fabricating and putting things together. He's still learning the electrical engineering, but he's very good at climbing telephone poles and drilling holes for cross arms and getting stuff up and down and figuring out how to lash things to the truck and and all that type of stuff. So my enthusiasm about doing this stuff at age 62 with God knows how many hundreds of acres of it that I already built that have been destroyed. It's pretty much going to have to be some other people that are going to have to be doing all this stuff. And I do not like climbing telephone poles as much as been as falsely portrayed by the disinformers. Utilizing my identity, that all Eric wants to do is climb telephone poles. I do not like climbing telephone poles. I do this stuff because I have to.
Right.
But I do not like climbing telephone poles.
Right. So with all this coming together like it is, and with those poles already put up and everything, do you estimate that this project could be fully functional by sometime maybe like summertime 2015, like maybe a year?
Well, I would figure, about a year if everything goes right. The first stage here is to get the outside plant portion of this done, the transmission structure complete with the terminal on the boundary between federal property and city property, and then put a pole-mounted terminal cabinet there, and then start from that point. And then we'll know where we're going to go from there on another year project. Typically, a project like this takes anywhere from 2 to 4 years to complete. The main complication here is the weather. So in the winter, it's just prohibitively cold to be out working on anything. Even inside the building here, typically start off in the morning 30 degrees, 32 degrees, and your tools are all cold and then in the summer, it's really too hot to be outside climbing poles and all that, and digging holes and fooling around with that stuff. So that leaves you basically just 3 or 4 months out of a year to operate. That's what slows a lot of this down. And then,
the desert extreme weather. Well, I'd imagine once this is done and operational, and like we've said in some of these interview videos, this is not some theoretical system. This is for anybody listening, this is a system that Eric has already built and mastered, and this was all set up at Landers, and a lot of that got destroyed through a big real estate scam. And so, being on government land, it's going to be more protected. People can't just go in there and screw around with anything. It's not going to disappear in some, real estate scam or anything like that. So there's multiple reasons why it is on government land, and not all government agencies or whatever are hostile to progress. And I even sat in the office of one of the government agencies, nearby where your lab is, and everybody is obviously very, very supportive of this. Now with the system, once it's up and running, I would imagine that there would be quite a bit of funding that would be available to EPD laboratories once people get to witness this in operation.
Well, that's kind of what we're hoping, because the main idea is to get because this is more of a demonstrator unit and a calibrating unit, is to get something up as fast as possible on the San Andreas Fault, being that by the end of this decade there will be a very major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. And that's where the system really needs to go. But the technical and governmental support for such a project is located specifically in this area because of the massed top-secret government research centers and everything. It's under the popular name of Area 51, which is actually just a small part of a giant array, which I am on the border of. So the support's here, where on the San Andreas Fault, there is no support, and all agencies and organizations are hostile to any such effort. So agreements have to be made to build this on private property or whatever, and we have initially established those agreements, but we're not in a position to build this there yet. So once it's demonstrated how the system operates, and it's shown to receive and produce results, and it registers earthquakes and all that. That's when it's time to build the companion unit. See, originally Landers was supposed to operate in a stereo configuration with another station in Owens Valley in the LA Department of Water and Power jurisdiction. But when Landers got destroyed, then basically all the equipment to build the other station in Owens Valley, as well as the equipment in Landers, all basically was destroyed or sold off. Or right now, the facility notebooks were stolen, and the person that stole them is trying to ransom them back to me now, which I will not agree to the ransom terms. So I can't get my notebooks back. So this is what happened there. These people made sure that everything was going to get screwed up for good. Right.
Now, pretty soon here, I'm going to be putting a donation address for GLOM, which this is going to go to Steve Hills, who is the director of UPD Laboratories and is the gentleman who's been kind enough to truck equipment around the country, bring van loads of GLOM to the lab, and he's been involved with that for a long time, and you've known him for years.
We go back. We start from the same connection, Standard Surplus in San Francisco, all the way back to 1967.
Wow.
Even though we didn't know each other then, we were basically spawned out of the same situation. And right now, he has located that's waiting for us to pick up between 15 and 20,000 pounds of material for various purposes. But right now, we're basically lacking the gas money to drive all over the country to pick this stuff up. That's the whole right now. And of course, the weather is not making it easy either. But it looks like. I don't know. We have quite a load of electrical equipment to pick up in Kentucky. That if we somehow manage to procure this building from the hostile owner, will be applied to outfitting this laboratory, and then also on the city property, there's a number of old facilities there left over from the mining days that I can get going again, which will also help me. That will establish for me an alternating current laboratory, which is something that's a very difficult, expensive thing to put together because of all the copper wire and the circuit breakers and the transformers and all that. So we've located what appears to be that material. We'll have to pay the going scrap price for it, which is going to probably be about $5,000. There's another tractor trailer load of carrier telephone equipment up in Utah that will be the raw materials for putting a lot of this stuff together, including some of the cable hardware and that kind of stuff. So that's another thing to pick up, and then I'm going to be driving another couple thousand miles here in the next couple of months, going to other locations where there's very large installations of this stuff that have been set up by private individuals, which I will document and make that information available to the public to show you some of the absolutely fantastic work that other people are doing in reconstructing the Bell system and a lot of the apparatus, which in turn supplies me with the material that I need for here. So there's a lot of material resources floating around out there, but it takes time and money to put all this stuff together.
Right. Now, for GLOM, which that's basically, old electrical devices and equipment.
The definition of GLOM is getting something without having to pay for it.
Right. So if anybody has, GLOM that they want to donate, electrical parts or scopes or, whatever, is there specific types of GLOM you're looking for the Seismic project? I know there's a lot of specialty stuff, but what's the...
Well, there's several projects going on. There's the Earth Stereo project. There's the Cosmic Induction Generator project. There's the Telluric Beacon project. This is in order to put the entire facility at Landers to reconstruct that and put something like that back together again. There's 5 or 6 different avenues of signal and Earth current research that went on there. not alone the large AC laboratory that I used to have, like at RCA and what have you, and in the shipyard. So I mean, it's all. But the things that I really need are large-scale electrical equipment, like power transformers, industrial quality circuit breaker boxes, not home stuff, but industrial stuff. One of the big hang-ups in me continuing my alternating current research is I can't get the switchboard meters that they used to have, like in the generating stations and the substations. If anyone knows where those switchboards are around, like in the engine rooms of dismantled Navy ships or old power plants, or that stuff's extremely critical. Any type of telephone installation or microwave relay type equipment, like Western Electric, racks, carrier equipment, demodulators, line amplifiers. We need the terminal boxes that go on the telephone cables, where we have a 5-mile long underground cable system that we're reconfiguring into an earth antenna about 250 miles on the other end of this vast government stretch of property out here. There's so much stuff that, basically anything you see on telephone poles, anything you see bolted to the walls of big industrial facilities, anything that you would see inside a telephone exchange, anything you would see inside a broadcasting station, including like mixing boards, limiting amplifiers, we need all that stuff.
Right.
As far as like computer junk, computer parts, consumer devices, we really don't need any of that type of stuff. That's not applicable. It's pretty much a power company, a phone company, and Navy, and particularly Navy communications and radar equipment. Like one very difficult part to find for this operation is I need a PPI radar scope, the ones with the line that sweeps around in the circle and leaves like the little map. That particular type of indicator is very useful for spectral displays. I can't find one anywhere anymore. If somebody's got a PPI sonar or radar indicator, that's another essential device. If anybody has any like Navy radio room equipment from the 60s, particularly the General Dynamics or Technical Materials Corporation equipment from the fixed installations. I mean, there may still be people out there that have that. This is all the stuff that needs to be found.
Okay. Now, we're getting on 40 minutes here, and I think this conference call will record maybe up to about 1 hour. We can do this in 2 segments. Let's get into your upcoming conference presentation, and then we'll stop this interview, and then we'll do a second one and answer some questions that have been posted in Facebook. For the conference, as if you're following Eric's work, you know that last year at the 2013 Bedini-Lindemann Science and Technology Conference, Eric was the keynote speaker and gave a talk on the 4-quadrant representation of electricity. And that came out as a video presentation of his talk at the conference with his PowerPoint presentation. And then that was followed up with a pretty serious book. That was a serious monumental effort on Eric's part. And those are all available at 4quadranttheory.com. Or if you go to ericpdollar.com, you'll see links to these books and videos and stuff. In the right column, just scroll down, you'll see those. And if you purchase them from ericpdollar.com, then Eric and EPD Labs will receive 70% of that, which will go towards Eric's work at the lab. Now this year, for the 2014 Science and Technology Conference, there's going to be a banner to that conference at the top of ericpdollar.com, and also at the top of ericpdollar.com. Right now there's a graphic for the Indiegogo campaign which says, Save the Advanced Seismic Warning System. So if you click on that banner, that'll take you straight to the Indiegogo campaign where you can donate. Even if you can only donate $5, $10, please do it, because this is a very important project that can literally potentially save millions of lives over the years. And So go ahead and go to ericpdollard.com, click on that banner at the top. That'll take you to the Indiegogo campaign. You can donate. And I'll also have a banner that goes to the conference, and you'll be able to see Eric Dollard live. John Polakowski will be there demonstrating the cosmic induction generator. Now, do you want to talk a little bit about your presentation that you're going to be presenting this year, which is the extraluminal transmission systems of Tesla and Alexanderson?
Yeah, I'm just getting ready to shift gears now to start working on that. I'm still working on the AC stuff from the last presentation, and I've reached a plateau in that I think it should be at least one more book coming out after the four-quadrant representation book on that, where this AC and symmetrical components and all that's worked out. So at any rate, I could keep going on that forever, but the thing is, I got where I needed to go right now, so I can take a break and not get lost. So then I'm going to switch over to basic transmission concepts. I'll probably start putting a series out on the energetic form here on that, as well as the stuff that's still going to be coming out on the AC theory.
Right.
And then get into all the various modes of transmission which are possible that were utilized by Marconi, Tesla, and Alexanderson and others that the Einsteiners have declared don't work or impossible and can't exist. So this is going to be a little harder to present this one in layman's terms. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be technical. But at any rate, I do intend to get into the basic operating principles of these systems and the work that I've done in it and the examples of the RCA systems and what have you. And then with the transformers that John's building, we'll be able to demonstrate some of the principles, because basically the telluric transmission system and reception system is just a cosmic induction generator that's split in half. So John was here about 2 weeks ago. He's finished his unit. We have the TCS Navy transmitter receiver arrangement for the exciter and what have you. We had that all debugged and perfected. So we drew the graphs for the device as a telluric receiver and as a cosmic induction generator. The results were somewhat stunning. And John should be putting that out pretty soon. It looks very well like there's some kind of dimensional hole or something in between the unit that energy goes into it and doesn't come back out.
Does that have anything to do with that neutral spot? That
the
little
neutral
floating
plane. Yeah, in the neutral plane, the graphs were really quite. They got John quite excited. So I talked to him yesterday. He says he's finalizing that, and it should be coming out pretty soon. And then he's going to bring the system there. He has the other TCS transmitter that he's going to build a power supply for, so we can get a little more juice out of the thing to make it more visible. And then also we're expecting to, I haven't worked it out with him yet, but Mark McKay's coils is to run them in this mode also off the TCS to show the difference between the flat spiral and the solenoidal design. So this really could be like a world's first demonstration of all this stuff in a practical, visible, engineerable form rather than a bunch of gobbledygook that doesn't tell you how to do anything.
So if you're listening to this, and if you've been following Eric's work over the years, or even if you just recently learned about Eric's work, you know that he's built a lot of this stuff on the bench. It's not just theoretical. Eric has developed his own four-quadrant math model where you can actually engineer this if you have that kind of background. But he actually builds this stuff and it works. And I was privileged to be able to be at EPD Laboratories, and John had finished building his resonator coils for the cosmic induction generator. Eric walked up to the bench, and after going through some tuning protocols, suddenly the cosmic induction generator was working. And he was holding this tube up in between the resonator coils, and if he held it just in one specific angle, you could see this little black spot inside that tube just kind of floating up and down. And that's the neutral spot Eric's talking about, which is like, some hole into some other dimension or something. But that's
where it's interesting, because that's where the energy disappears into, and that's where the galaxies come out of.
And the reference to the galaxy is that years ago with the cosmic induction generator, you had a bulb that you put in between those coils in that fashion, and basically a spiraling galaxy manifested in the middle of the bulb.
Exactly. It was stunning.
And but the pictures that people can see of the cosmic induction generator and what happens in a bulb are like these fractal patterns that manifest. And if you type into Google cosmic induction generator, and if you look through some of the pictures in Google, you'll see these bulbs with these purple, this like purple plasma inside, which when it's touching the side of the glass, it develops into these fractal patterns, which is completely different than these, plasma bulbs that people, you can buy at any novelty store. It's nothing to do with that. It's a completely different phenomenon. And, Eric is really the only one in the world who has ever, demonstrated and showed this. And so if, this is your chance to come to the conference and actually meet Eric Dollard personally, watch his presentation, but you're also going to be able to see him and John Polakowski give these demonstrations right there on the table. So it's going to be
we're not going to have enough power to produce any of the big, fantastic stuff. It's more just to show the principles.
Similar to what I saw on the bench when I was down there.
Yeah, it'll be more powerful than that. It'll be enough. We might be able to get some illumination in the neon bulb, the empty neon flasks we were talking about from the neon sign shop. But John's still struggling to get the power unit together, and has basically bankrupted himself doing it. So he's probably already spent about $5,000 in this, and he's putting quite a personal sacrifice into these parts are all very difficult, expensive, and hard to find. And I've managed to locate some of this stuff out on these GLOM missions, but to get this stuff here and to move it around is a complication. There's a big quantity of it up there in Spokane that's waiting to be moved here, but I can't get the capitalization for that project without sacrificing a lot of other stuff that's going on right now. So I'm pretty much, supporting myself out of my Social Security and mail donations, and then, somebody else shows up and buys this piece of equipment, or allegedly provides me with the building, or the government, provides me with a situation. That requires its own high voltage, independent level of financing that very easily gets into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're really, we're doing this on a budget that's unheard of for this kind of work. Right.
Well, this is definitely not the average kind of science project, the kind of stuff that, you're working on. So,
back in the days of J.J. Thomson and Nikola Tesla and Oliver Heaviside and all those people, this was a standard science project, but not in today's society.
Well, everybody already has all of it figured out. So
they think they know everything, but that's why they can't get the wires right on the telephone poles anymore, because they don't really. Your basic electrical engineer of today does not even know Ohm's law for DC circuits.
Right. So when Eric is mentioning this other book, when I was down at the lab here a couple weeks ago, we did an interview on this next book that's going to be coming out. That's going to be quite a task just putting it together. Eric's been working on it nonstop, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for months, and
my friends in Lone Pine commented, how I have no suntan and it was all white looking because I've been inside too long.
Right. So this, so I'll be putting out that interview where Eric talks about that book here pretty soon. And as far as the funding, if you go to ericpdollard.com/Indiegogo, that'll take you straight to the Advanced Seismic Warning System fundraising page. So please donate whatever you can to help get that project off the ground. That bond money is desperately needed in the next 20 days because there's a 30-day time limit. There might be a chance to extend that, but we don't want to risk having the project denied because of not being able to come up with that bond. Also, if you go to ericpdollar.com, again, there's going to be the link to that Indiegogo project. There's also going to be a banner where you can go and learn more about the conference, sign up for that conference. It's going to be a rare opportunity to see Eric in person, not only give a presentation, but demonstrate some of this stuff live, which very few people in the world have ever seen this with their own eyes. You'll have an opportunity to do that. Also on the left, at the top left of ericpdollar.com, there is an address where you can donate directly to EPD Laboratories by check or money order or cashier's check. You can make those out to EPD Laboratories, Inc. EPD Laboratories is a legitimate 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization registered with the state of Nevada, and your donations are tax deductible. There's an address there where you can send those donations to. There's also a PayPal link, so if you want to donate by PayPal, that's there as well. I have actually set up a Bitcoin and Litecoin address where if you want to donate Bitcoin or Litecoin, you can donate that. The addresses are there. This is kind of interesting. I know you're not up on this internet for these digital currencies, Eric, but there's quite a few different so-called cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin and Litecoin are just the two most popular ones. There's dozens and dozens of these. Somebody has actually started something called Tesla Coin. That's another digital currency. If anybody wants to look at that, they can go to, I believe it's teslacoins.com. I had set up an account for that, and somebody had actually donated 10,000 Tesla coin to you, Eric. That's not a whole lot. That might be like 10 or $100 or something like that, but that's a good, a good sign. Eventually, the value of those coins might do something. It's a fairly new coin, but it's kind of interesting. So anyway, Eric, you have 10,000 Tesla coin, which has been donated. So as the word gets out about that, if more people want to actually accept Tesla coin, start generating these Tesla coin, and the value goes up, that could actually turn into something significant down the line. So anyway, with that, donate now. Please donate whatever you can to the Indiegogo campaign. Go to ericpdollar.com and click on the banner at the top of the page. That'll take you to the Indiegogo campaign. It's at $4,875, which is almost 49% of the $10,000 which is needed for the bond fund, and that's very encouraging, especially in the first 10 days. There's 20 days left of that campaign. So again, go to ericpdollar.com, click on the Save the Advanced Seismic Warning System Project banner at the top of that page. That'll take you there, and please share that with anybody that you know. And then what we're going to do, Eric, is we'll go ahead and wrap this up right now, and then we'll start a second interview, which will actually go into Facebook, and I'll just start going over some of the questions that people have posted, and we'll do that here in just a couple minutes.
Okay.